Tom Compton here on Pursuing the Muse. Today we're joined by Mike Felten. Mike has been around the Chicago music scene for decades. He's been playing folk, blues, rock and roll, writing authentic songs from the heart, and today he'll be talking about how those songs come to him, how he tries to write about the truth, and what's coming up for Mike as well. So here is Mike.
By the way, where'd you get that dress? Where'd you get that dress? Where'd you get it? Where'd you get that dress? And maybe she's not pretty, the kind that make men dream. Sometimes she's a bitch boy, sometimes she's downright mean. 2302. 2302. And sometimes we were cold, we was always cool.
All right, Tom Compton here on Pursuing the Muse. We have Mike Felten here today. Mike, how are you?
Oh, pretty good. Beautiful sunshiny day in Chicago.
There we go.
For a little while.
Until it's not. It's a beautiful sunshiny day. So, Mike, I'm super excited to have you here. You have played the Chicago scene for a long time, and I'm sure you have
Yeah.
a lot of stories. I know you've played with Jerry Garcia, so at least you know.
Yeah.
You know this guy's got interesting stories if he's played with Jerry Garcia.
For a little while, yeah.
So,
But I made him stop.
all right. So, but this is a songwriting podcast, and we'll get as interesting as we can with the stories. But I like to ask people, how did you get started out songwriting?
Oh, I kind of grew up into it. My mom was always a singer, and we always had music in the house. And my dad was worked for Lyon and Healy for a while, and he was into the technical aspect of music. And
What did Lionel Healy do?
Lyon and Healy, I think it's still there, but they were famous for their harps at one point.
Like
the
string harps,
the
the
big harps,
not the harmonica harps.
And if you go back in time, they developed upright pianos that they could sell and put in people's canoes. I mean that long ago, but
the piano in a canoe.
yeah. Well, an upright, you couldn't get $1,000 in there, but you could push that a bateau maybe. A bateau was a bigger canoe, so that's how long I go back. So the embers were still warm from the Chicago fire when I.
Nice.
But yeah, I've been around music all my life. My dad actually, because he was working on Lyon and Healy, became a friend of Les Paul, and not that he was interested in guitars or too much in what Les was doing, but Les was interested in my dad's knowledge of electronics, and
Cool.
bent his ear about that, and that's what my dad was into. So it's
Nice.
in order to get, he had to as opposed to my military service in World War II, he wanted to be in the Army or Navy, and they wouldn't take him because he had to have a hernia operation. So he got a job at Lyon and Healy, and he was making, I think, $40 a week, and he paid for his hernia operation and got to go into the Navy and went to Pearl Harbor in 1944 after everything was done. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So where did you grow up? Because Les Paul was the Wizard of Waukesha. Were you in Wisconsin?
Yeah, no, we were in Chicago, but
Okay.
it was the friendship was born at Lyon and Healy. Les was in talking to people and electronics, and my dad was there, and he was just interested. He was a teenager I think by then, maybe 20, 21, but yeah, he was interested in what Les was doing with the electronics of it. And
Okay.
one of my biggest regrets was when I started playing guitar when I was about 15 or 14. Of course, I wanted to get an electric guitar, like all our British bands. And my dad said, "Well, let's build you one." And I said, no, I don't want any of that. I went and bought a little silver tone from Sears, but I'd probably still be using that amplifier if we would have got working on that. But
Okay.
But yeah, so
how old were you when you were writing your first originals?
boy, I would say just about the time I started playing. It's just if I had a melody, I was trying to teach myself how to play guitar to play the melody I had in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So it was definitely teenage. 15, 16.
Okay.
When I went to the Old Town School for the first time, and that kind of gave me a basis in chords with all the Old Town School people, Voluccia and Jenny Clemens and Joe Mapes, all the ladies down there, and just missed Big Bill Brunsey, who had passed away a little bit, but Winstrachey was still around, Frank Hamilton, so it was the old days on North Avenue. So even though I forgot where the building was,
Right, because they had do they even still have the location on Armitage? They had like a small
yeah.
Okay. But I didn't know they were originally on North Avenue.
Yeah,
Okay.
They were on North Avenue in Sedgwick. And reading your friend Mark Carino's book, he gave the address. And I said, that's wrong. And I went back and looked at the stationery from the Old Town School, and he was correct. But I remember getting off the L stop and going to my left, going west. And it was east where there's a convenience store or something on that corner. But I'll swear I turned left. So maybe I wasn't at the Old Town School, but and these people were posers that I was at. But
You took the long way.
I took the long
It's
way.
like, if you 3 left turns make a right kind of thing.
I know when I got done, too, I had to walk over and take the Ogden bus. Ogden's not even there anymore. So that's how long ago that is. But
All right. Wow. You know your city, because you this is all tangent, but you also are a docent at the Chicago History Museum, aren't you?
Yeah, I give tours quite a bit there, usually on Wednesday afternoons. So, but I could be requested, So
There you go. You have it.
yeah,
Put in the request.
Yep, for sure.
How much heads up you need for a tour request?
Oh, I don't know. Probably as long as I'm not playing. I'm playing quite a bit. So, but Wednesday afternoons, I'm usually there at 1 o'clock. So.
Okay, so you're a teenager. You're writing songs.
Mm.
Do you have an outlet for these songs at this point?
No.
No, they're just piling up, kind of.
Yeah, just piling up, and they're not very good. I mean, they're just pop, real pop, and I figure if these guys can do it, so can I. And of course, I still think that. But
Yeah,
here
why
I
not?
am.
Absolutely, that is my philosophy, man. If you want to write a song,
Go ahead.
you can do it. So, did in high school were you playing in bands, or you were just kind of doing it up in your room kind of thing?
Kind of up in my room. Well, Pete, my bass player, we went to high school together, and we were in marching band and played tubas, and I played trumpet for a while, a long time ago. I don't know which end is up on any of that anymore, but yeah, probably about the second or third year we were getting together bands, just the best kind of bands, all your buddies, and go play in Judy and Carol's basement or something, and they give you $4 and everything's happy, But
$4 is a good paycheck these days.
That was good, and then no tax and
right.
So,
No 1099.
no.
With those early bands, were you doing covers, or were you able to bring in your stuff?
Oh no, we did covers. Just basically all the 3-chord songs you could imagine, from Boys to Kansas City, Chains, anything with 3 chords, we could figure that out. But we did Mr. You're a Better Man Than I by the Yardbirds, and that incorporates just about all the chords, I think. So that was like a learning experience.
There you go. You're ambitious.
Yeah, ambitious. We found out how to do things. It wasn't with the same as the record anymore, but it was recognizable. We had the enthusiasm. So,
Mm-hmm. So your first songs, you're saying they're pop songs, and they're kind of modeled on what you're hearing on the radio. Was that all you were looking to get from them, or was there like anything deeper going on with it? Were you able to get like your own feelings out, your own artistic expression?
Yeah, well, I think that came with Bob Dylan. I mean, because he was writing about social things, and at the same time, I'm a kid from the Northwest Side, basically all white, and getting down to the Old Town School where I was exposed to these ladies all were like beatniks, long black dresses and stuff, and different ideas and different races and different kind of music, everything that Pete Seeger would find a song somewhere in Africa and we play it and stuff like that, so it was opened my eyes. I wasn't there for that long, but they did give me a path of what to look at and who to listen to and different things. So it's
okay. When did you first find an opportunity to play your own material?
Well, I think that was basically in college. Again, it was just finding a place that would have you, and I had all these songs piled up and wanted to do something kind of meaningful. And I remember playing the Newman Club at Northeastern Illinois University, and there was a place in Porter, Indiana. We used to drive down to, and it was one of those places where nobody was there until the bowling league let out, and then it was like crazy. But then it was a good set. It was a good time, But it was a couple places, and from there, I just looked for these kind of open mic opportunities, and another fortunate thing, I started going to the place called the Fifth Peg that John Prine used to show up and do his 3 songs, and Steve Goodman used to show up and do 3 songs, and I have listed all these places I played, and I played there something like 15 times one year. So, and that's where Prine was just kind of starting to blow people away with his 3 songs. And first time I played there, I got a standing ovation, which kind of suck you in, But I don't know if the people were drunk or what. But I remember my parents were there, and my dad said he was proud of me, which is what everyone wants to hear. So,
right,
my mother told me that. So. I don't know. I hope it's true.
She's a good source.
Yeah. But that just kept me going with the whole thing. I think he was kind of happy that I kind of got up and did it, which is a thing I always appreciate. Younger people playing that. I played a couple shows with younger bands where people are saying, "Oh, these kids suck," and I said, "Yeah, but you're sitting here, watching, and these guys are taking the time to get out there and." Kind of learn these songs, even if they have to read it, read the lyrics and stuff. But they're making the effort, And
it takes a level of courage to.
The rest of us can sit on a bar stool and watch them for the rest of our lives, But they were doing it, so.
Yeah, and it's like you were saying, your first songs, when your early stuff, you got to get through a lot of bad songs to get to the good ones.
Well, I always point out. The Beatles Hamburg tapes when they were doing the covers, and I don't know, they're gods, and I can't say anything, but I think they were pretty bad.
Well, they didn't start out as gods.
No, but some people think that just sprung from their collective consciousness, I guess. But
I think Pete Best was bringing them down.
Yeah, I guess so. It's his fault. But.
On some of those bills where Prine and Goodman are there, could you tell that they had something special at that point?
Yeah. Just the songs they were coming up with, that basically I could play all of John Prine's first album before it was out. I learned those from watching him and just doing these great songs, Flag to Cal, and I did that the other night, and just things that I was the basis of my sets for a long, long time. It'd be John Prine and a couple of my own, but and Steve Goodman too. So
okay,
but
so when you got out of college, how were you doing music full time at that point, or did you have a day job kind of thing?
No. Well, I was working not a day job. I was working nights at Illinois Masonic Hospital. I was a security guard. So, but I would come home every morning, and I had a copy of the songbook of Chris Christopherson's Silver Tongue Devil, and I would sit there and play all the songs before I went to sleep. And I looked for that book and I don't have it. And I tried a couple of years trying to buy it, and it was like $65. And I finally found one, a used copy for 20 something, and I got it now. So I can sit there at 6 o'clock in the morning and play all of Christopherson's songs and learn from that. And, but that was a big learning experience. I picked a good guy, but
Right. Yeah, he's a legend.
yeah.
So let's see. Let's hammer out. So your songwriting mentors, I mean, you had a very special opportunity to see like Prine and Goodman and then Christopherson. You mentioned Bob Dylan. Was he a big influence on you?
Yeah, I've never seen Bob Dylan, which I should make it a point, but really gratefully influenced, and the reason I got into Bob Dylan was through Peter, Paul, and Mary. I would have a Peter, Paul, and Mary, and who's this guy writing these great songs from Peter, Paul, and Mary? And I found a Bob Dylan albums. There they were. And of course, I remember my uncle saying, "Boy, I'm glad I'm not young, so I don't have to listen to this." But that kind of
that's a perennial thing.
Yeah, that put me into it a little bit further. Just a separation that this was mine.
Yes.
So.
I feel that way about a lot of stuff that's on like TikTok and that,
yeah.
I think it just shows we're old now.
Yeah, I guess so. But
you said you haven't seen Bob Dylan live, but to be fair, he hasn't come to see you either, has he?
Not that I know of. I did see Jacob Dylan.
Oh, okay.
And we had a nice conversation, and
you've seen his DNA.
Yeah. And seeing Jacob, and I met him. And after the show, he's kind of looking at me, give me the once over, figuring that here's another old guy that's going to talk about his dad. And I caught that. So I said, I've really been a fan of your dad. I said, I've always liked Bob Marley. It took him about 30 seconds, a couple seconds to catch on to that. But he laughed, and then we were good friends after that. So
that's cool. So at what point, because you also in your history, you've owned vinyl record stores.
Yeah.
It was Record Emporium, right?
Right, 1979 opened the first one.
And then that was open till the early 2000s, right? Or was it?
Yeah, it was open just a little bit shy of 30 years.
Oh my gosh.
So,
okay.
And I did have stores in Iron Mountain, Escanaba, Chicago, one in Wisconsin, and so I think there was somewhere else, but I had a little chain there going for a while. But
so did that free you up to play outside of the business hours?
It didn't free me up, but I would work the record store all day, and then I was playing in a band in the Upper Peninsula, Michigan, and we played 4 hours a night, every night. So I'd work all day and play 4 hours at night and then go home and play 6 hours on Sunday, which you learned a lot of stuff, how to be asleep and play Johnny Cash at the same time, but
fit in a nap somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, so what was a 6-hour gig on a Sunday?
Well, people went out on Sunday, so you started in the afternoon and you go to 1 o'clock in the morning, but and get everybody, take them out in the morning and take her home and come back, and
that's how we observe the Sabbath.
Yeah, that's it.
Back in the
day, Iron Mountain, Michigan. Yeah.
Wow.
But
so your catalog is your first record 2003.
Yeah, and that was a lot of stuff that had been around for a while.
Okay.
So it's just like old friends, kind of bring them over and getting them pressed, So
that was the landfill. Was that the?
That was landfill. Yeah.
Okay. So, what sort of product did you have out there? Just kind of like under the radar stuff that was
before then.
Yeah.
Really nothing in print. I did do a Industrial Workers of the World Labor Day show, and I was on that it was on Flying Fish, and I didn't get credited for that, but I did sing a part of Solidarity Forever or something on there, but that was the only thing I had aside from tapes. And I did recorded probably 10, 11 songs up in Milwaukee. A friend of mine had a studio up there, and I still got that, but that's there were a couple original songs that probably made it onto landfill. I forget which one. But, a lot of old labor songs, and I was into all that at the time. So, so that's floating around somewhere. But
was that a self-released record?
Well, as much as it was released, I sent it wherever. But I did. I was playing better folk gigs up there. We sold tickets for a lot of events, and they do have. Up in Marquette, Michigan, where Northern Michigan University is, I think they still have the Hiawatha Music Fest. And I was selling tickets for that. And I became friends with them, and I played up there for a couple of years. And some of my songs filtered through different people, and Utah Phillips discovered it, and he told Pete Seeger about it. And I had correspondence with both of them about my songs, and Pete Seeger wanted a tape and wanted me to write the lyrics down. I still got the letters at home, and so that gave me some credibility to play. And I was in one of my record stores on Saturday morning, and I got a call from Utah Phillips saying that the industrial workers of the world were having their I think anniversary party down at Holstein's, and I could play if I came down. So I got in the car and drove down, and where I was going, this I don't know, but I got it. I recorded. They recorded. I don't know what happened with the tapes, but Flying Fish has it. But there was a group song at the end, and that came out on an album on Flying Fish, which is. The label's not there anymore, and the fellow's dead and stuff. But that was the only kind of legitimate release that I was on. Mm-hmm. So it took me a while to figure out to do my own. So
seems like the most well-known song from that Landfill album is "Sister." Can you take us through how that song came about?
Okay, well, that is definitely Upper Peninsula song. I lived in a place called Felch Mountain, Theodore. Theodore is kind of like the suburb of Felch Mountain. So, but I lived up there. The main employment was at the Hannah Mine, and so I have a lot of mining songs. And there was a guy named Bill that worked one of these huge shovels, and he had a sister. And the song, and she was married to some guy that was beating her on a regular basis. And Bill didn't get along with his sister much, but he didn't get along with the guy beating his sister even worse. And eventually he wound up killing him and going to prison for it. And that's the whole song is about that. But it's a kind of a Dylan-esque song. And, Dylan came from the mining communities, and this definitely was a song, so it's...
There seems to be a thread in a lot of your music. It's telling like some specific stories about specific characters, and you'll even name drops, and it makes it, and it is, I do see it as like kind of a Dylan-esque, like there is a story here, and it's not just a slice of life, but this is like an intense moment. Mm-hmm. And would you say that's something you're shooting for when you're writing?
A lot of times, I hear somebody's story and it just jumps off, and people should know this, that because Bill did go to prison, and he had a terminal disease when he went in. So that was, but his sister then didn't get beaten anymore. So I don't know whatever happened to her, but
might be a little karma, a little cosmic justice.
But so it was a kind of a sad story. But you end up your life doing that. But killing somebody who's abusing somebody you don't even like, but still it's your sister, so it's bloodline. So
Right. I mean, that's like Shakespeare. There's there's death, there's intrigue, there's murder. So definitely story worthy.
Yeah.
When you wanted to take that event and put it into a song, how did it become a song from like this very intense, it's like this could be on the evening news kind of story.
Yeah, well, you hear little bits and snippets of people talking about it, and some of the lines are, really striking that you keep, grew up on the Mesabi Range where life is cold and bleak. Among those iron ore miners, there's no place for the weak. Sister grew to Northwoods womanhood, and me, I got a job, lived our lives the best we could, wound up like Ma and Pop,
Was that, were you trying to tell the story in a song, and how did the story come first and they were like, I want to capture this in a song?
I think the story always kind of comes first, but sometimes you get the phrases. I mean, this is a phrase that's part of a story. I do storytelling too, so it's a
part of what you have going on.
Yeah, sometimes the stories I don't have to say anything about this song, but I know it is a kind of a Dylan-esque rhythm and beat to it, but yeah, I was shooting for that. So,
like, sometimes I'll have a phrase and it's like a hook and it's memorable, and then it expands maybe into a story. Mm-hmm. Is that similar to what was happening for you?
Yeah, it could be. You get the phrase, the chorus is where you come back to and brings it all home, and then you tell a story around the chorus, but you have the point of the story in the chorus, So, maybe she's not pretty, and boy, it's been a long time since I did that.
Yeah, not trying to put you on the spot.
Yeah, maybe she's not pretty, the kind that make men dream, but and she wasn't, but yeah, it's a tough life up there. So.
Mm-hmm. A little further down the road, and a song that is a staple when you play live. Where'd you get that dress? How did that song come about?
Well, that throws everything I just said into the wind.
Oh yeah, this is much more upbeat.
Yeah, because
a lot less murder going on, and
because I actually had a dream, and I was singing these, and the chorus is disjointed with the verse. I had seen my friend Randy Murray, who plays trumpet, and we grew up. We went to kindergarten together, and we've been friends for that long time. I had kind of the lyrics not even fitting with one another, but I did dream the song, and I dreamt his trumpet intro. Then I had to convince him to play it like my dream, which he's one of these guys you have to write it for him, which but he took to it and did it exactly the way I wanted it to, but so that's why I like the song. The way I do it is of course without a trumpet, and but buy the album, listen to it, or punch the button.
There you go. Right. There's a selling point. Hear it as it was meant to be heard.
Yeah, there you go.
What record is that one on? That's
I think that's Johnny Lunchbucket.
Okay.
AKA Johnny Lunchbucket. Okay.
You got a lot of your albums have like a nickname for you.
Yeah,
like there's Johnny Lunchbucket.
Yeah, Mikey
Fast,
Blue Eyes. Yeah.
Mikey Blue Eyes.
Yeah, Fast Mikey Blue Eyes, and that's all my.
You're like David Bowie.
Yeah, I guess.
You're reinventing yourself with these characters.
I guess. Fast Mikey Blue Eyes. That's all my nicknames there, but. Johnny Lunchbucket was nicknames we had for guys that were working 9 to 5. It was Johnny Lunchbucket.
Sure.
So it wasn't me at the time, but sitting in the Ron Rick Grill at 5 in the morning playing Liar's Poker, watching guys get up to go to work. They were Johnny Lunchbucket, and something you didn't want to be, I guess. But
okay. To clarify your dream of where'd you get that dress, mm-hmm. is like. Was it like the whole song, you knew it when you woke up and you just had to like capture it? Or was it just the trumpet came in the dream?
Yeah, the trumpet was the main thing. Okay. But the lyrics were kind of easy. There are some that are easy and they're not that meaningful,
It's a fun song.
Yeah. That's it's casual. So, and it's, people like singing along with it, by the way, everybody would say, by the way, and usually people get that pretty quick. So, yeah, so it's not a hard one, but a popular one.
So the songs that do you feel like when you have a song coming to you, and I mean, this is two ends of a spectrum, like a fun song and a dark story song.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have to put on a different kind of writer's hat or a different feel? Or how do you handle being this conduit for this diverse spectrum of songs?
Yeah, well, there are times that I'll have a chorus or something. I want to get into it deeper and not just blow it off where it's a good time. A lot of places, people want to dance and have a good time, and I understand that, so I can't be playing, I don't know how many wars we're going to fight or something. People don't want to hear that all the time, because they are fighting wars, that I don't know
right,
about.
There's still protests going on.
Yeah, so, you want to have a good time sometimes. So there are phrases that catch, and people do have a good time with them. So, but there are other times when, I wonder why people are having a good time with these songs. The other day I was playing at the museum, and they had me doing anti-war songs, and they're doing a protest art exhibit that's opening May 18th, but they asked me to do some protest songs, and I did Ohio by Neil Young, and people were dancing, for dead in Ohio, yeah, but that happens, it's like, what are you dancing for?
Right, right, tuning the message out.
Yeah.
With a song, how do you view songs? Do you feel like they're floating in the ether and you're capturing them, or do you think it's more of a thing you're bringing out of yourself?
Both. If I get a line, I'll write it down, and sometimes it just lingers until it fits with something else, and sometimes it changes the whole meaning of things. But sometimes it's somebody saying something, but it's I got a lot of 1 and 2 lines and 3 and 4 lines, and just trying to fit it and blend it. I forget which album it was, but it was a lot of that there's like 3 or 4 songs just were combined into one, and it worked, but trying to smooth them out a little bit. And some of them, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So,
Are you capturing observations? I mean, what you're talking about with Sisters is something that's unfolding around you. How often is what you write like you capturing the truth versus a fictional story you're pulling out of thin air?
I don't think I do too much fiction. It might turn out that way, that the names have been changed to protect the innocent, but most of it's something I've observed where somebody's going through something, and I don't want to embarrass them, but there are stories that people tell me, and I say, wow, this is a song there, but I think that's the preponderance of what I do. So
is capturing stories that are true stories.
Yeah, it's history. I'm a history guy. So
right, yeah, it kind of fits the mold.
And I've done. I got one on Mikey Blue Eyes. One I don't do is about the John Burge, torturing people. It's a police commander that still collecting his pension, but it's. I always call it the history of the Chicago Police Department, which is go to a lot of the corrupt things that have gone on to coerce people into confessing, and I had a couple ladies from Poland, and they were conversing in Polish, and the one told the other one that this is like the black hole where you go, and she knew all about that from living in Poland, I guess. So it's. Say, well, yeah, it meant something to her, but it's not something I play on Saturday night for a good time, So,
right. You can find that line where you really can't dance to it anymore.
Yeah. And if you find yourself in a police bar or something, you're not going to pull that one out.
Right. So. But I think every story has its place, in which makes music such a cool entity to play with, because it does run that spectrum. You
Yeah.
know, you can tell those dark stories somewhere, and I don't know. Hopefully, it's therapeutic.
Yeah. Usually I got a song about something, if we're talking about something, well, I can refer a song to, I have 100-something songs now, so it's,
Right. You got something to bring to
yeah.
any point of view or any angle.
And sometimes I feel a certain way, so it's,
So your song 2302, have the names been changed?
no, my mother's name is Dolores, and my father's name is Earl, and we did live at 2302. Actually, a couple 2302s, but
Really? You lived in multiple
yeah, lived at
houses that the house number was 2302?
2302 Belmont and 2302 Roscoe. My grandparents lived in 2302 Belmont, that's where they brought me after I came home from the hospital. And the first 7 years of my life, I lived at 2302 Roscoe.
You feel that's your autobiography song?
Oh yeah, I think most of them are. I could probably do that. So it's,
Everything's
yeah,
different portions, slice of your life.
Yeah. So, but I think of my parents quite a bit, just with that one. So,
do you get any, for your own self, does writing a song provide any therapeutic lift for you?
Yeah. It makes me remember people and situations. I know the buildings they tore down is one that references everybody in that song is true. I mean, those are the real names and the real people and things that I've experienced at 2302 and whatever. So it's carries a lot of weight, and I think of these people at the time. Most of them are passed on or passed out of my life somewhere. But 20 buildings they tore down is really started at the Cubby Bear, playing the Cubby Bear not too long ago, where it's loud and not like the sports bar I knew when I was growing up, when my dad used to take me to Cubs games, and it was a real Cubs bar with shot into the beer and a big island bar, and that was it. I don't know, it had anything to do with the Cubs aside from the pictures on the wall. But now it's like a rock club, and so the old ball pitcher stood at the end of the American bar. That's the guy who used to be something, but not anymore, and so it's different. So
yeah, there was a point where the Cubby Bear, it was more of a music venue that just happened to be named the Cubby Bear.
Yeah. Saw Joe King Carrasco there, and boy, a lot of bands, but Johnny Cash, I think, played there, and
wow,
Sir Doug Sam. So that was great. But
I saw Scott Henderson at the Cubby Bear, and it's like, I'm seeing fusion jazz at this sports bar across the street from Wrigley Field. I mean, I can't complain. It's like,
yeah.
I wanted to see the show. Just happened to be named after a sports bar.
The dressing room was lined with urinals, and
I did not know that.
Yeah, it was,
in your years owning the record store, did you have a lot of music legends come through your doors?
Oh, yeah. More in Chicago than the Upper Peninsula, but we had Wolfman Jack and Spanky from Spanky and Our Gang came through, and that was a big deal. That's
what year was Spanky coming through?
Gee, that had to be. I was there till 91, so it was probably late 80s. It was like a package show. A lot of country people, a lot of country singers came through. But it's such an event when you're in a small town. People call you up and say the Oak Ridge Boys bus stopped at the donut shop there, and Neil Young wrote his name on the bathroom wall, and really, he was there. Tammy Wynette came through, and by then, I was playing with a lot of the country folks that came through. We opened for them, or not opened for them, but played with them, and so we got to know a lot of people from that. But
what kind of country? Like some of the old time?
Yeah, I remember Janie Fricke and Brenda Lee.
Brenda Lee, yeah.
Randy Travis came through, Loretta Lynn, Ray Price, Johnny Rodriguez, a lot of the 70s and 80s guys that were playing the fairs. That's
Did you have a performance space in the record stores?
the one in Michigan, we moved all the record racks, and we did have a performance space in there. So we had some pretty well-known folky people, Priscilla Herdman, and I don't know if you know, or Skip Jones, who still lives up there. He was a great guy, but Sparky Rucker. These are kind of, if you're deep into folk music, you know these guys, and they're good. But
shout outs,
yeah. But in Chicago, we had Billy Joe Shaver and Over the Rhine, and we had guys from Smashing Pumpkins, a lot of actors and stuff came by, and Fred Schneider from the B-52s was in there, and Jean Garofalo was in, actress, and they just passed through. And Cusack, when we made a movie with a High Fidelity we worked with, and then we they actually filmed Love Jones in there.
What was Love Jones?
It was kind of a real nice African-American love story.
Okay.
Where the characters were intelligent, and I'm pretty proud of that. And it's kind of a cult following, and Nia Long, and
I'm gonna look that one up.
Yeah. It was a really cool movie, and the lady that did hair for everybody was a lady named Lene Hodges, and her ex-husband Tinny Hodges was the bass player for the High Rhythm section. Mm-hmm. So I spent a long time talking to her, the people I'm impressed with, but, and the guy doing the sound, worked, with Jimi Hendrix at, the studio in New York. Escapes me, but,
Electric Ladyland?
Electric Ladyland. So, he had stories, so.
Eddie Kramer, or was it?
No. I forget his name, but I did look him up, and he was on legit, so.
Did you get to utilize your record space to play some of your own stuff?
Oh, yeah, I played there a couple of times, but I always felt kind of self-conscious playing in my own place, where you have to be the boss. And
how'd you get this gig?
Yeah. It was tough, the guy kept hanging up and wouldn't pay me. But,
you have a level of humility.
Yeah.
that everybody doesn't always have, so good for you.
But we did have, Paul Caparino from Moto worked there. And, he's internationally known for his kind of weird takeoff punk stuff. And he's living in New Hampshire now, and I'm still in contact, and I'm going to do a cut on his tribute album. So Never Had a Glass Lie to Me I'm going to do. So
nice.
That's going to come out. So
yeah, that's a good segue. Do you have another record in the works at this point?
Starting to write it, it's things have. The last one I kind of wrote a couple songs in the studio, and things were starting to pour out when I was in the studio. So some of the stuff that I planned to put on the last record didn't make it. I do have, I think, about 15 songs in the can, and I think some of those are going to come out, and I've been doing a lot of covers, that obscure covers, and like to get that out somewhere. So there are things that are there right now that I just have to work on and decide what I want to do with them. So,
is there a sense of pressure of writing in a studio? Or is it just like, I need to capture this kind of thing?
Well, it was. It was kind of I want to do this now, and it was fresh, and I think you can tell that. And now it's like. We did have a lot of success with Fast Mikey Blue Eyes, so I'm trying to continue that. So do I do another record that is kind of bluesy, or do I just pick up from there and go on to something different? And just I don't know. I got a couple different things. Yeah,
I know that when you're marketed for live stuff, you're kind of put in the blues genre, but I don't know that I don't always think of your songs as specifically blues songs.
Well, neither do I.
I mean, there are definitely, you got, the 12-bar riff songs that are definitely in that blues, but you're also, because you're talking so much about political songs and protest songs, and you got your storytelling going on, and not that there's not storytelling in the blues, but there you have a lot of songs that are more folk than blues. But I guess for people to market yourself, it does make sense to say Mike Felten. Do you call yourselves the Mike Felten Blues Band, or do you know Mike Felten Band?
Yeah. Muddy Waters, the quote I always hung on was that you can't be me, and I can't be Muddy Waters. Obviously I didn't grow up on a plantation in Mississippi and Stevie Ray. I know you got the shirt on you, but he couldn't be Albert King. Now people are trying to be Stevie Ray, imitating Albert King, and but you wind up being yourself, and that's kind of what I'm after.
Yeah.
I want to tell my story and play my music. And if I hear this phrase in my head, whatever it is, that's what I want to get out. Some of it's been a little bit more jazzier. People have been talking about Tom Waits and stuff. So it's
that's not a bad name to get.
What does Tom Waits fall under? So,
he's his own little genre.
Yeah. So that's what I'm kind of shooting for, just to explain myself. And I know no matter how hard I try, if I do a Muddy Waters song, it's going to sound like me. So it's I don't want to do a chapter and verse. I don't want to get the guitar lick exactly, and if I could, but I'd do my own and make it work.
Yeah, I've always felt like if you're going to try and sound just like the record, why bother? Because the record is there.
Well, tell that to all the cover bands that are out there.
They're the ones making the, that's a whole nother world, the cover band, tribute band.
But I could never see wanting to be REO Speedwagon or for the rest of my life, or unless I was REO Speedwagon. But,
right. Or they actually dress up like the musician and play the note for note, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, I was in a metal band one time. We opened for a Rolling Stone tribute band that just played a cassette tape of the Rolling Stones live in Paris. And they just acted out like they were Rolling Stones. And they had some pretty nice equipment, and we asked to touch their guitars. And, oh, no, you can't do that.
They don't even touch their guitars.
No, nobody touches those guitars. So, okay, but...
See, these are the stories, that are good to hear. The cover band that's like Milli Vanilli before Milli Vanilli.
Yeah, and the guy had license plates, and geez, he wasn't content,
You got something you're working on. Probably it sounds like there's no timeline on a release date at this point.
No. It takes a while, Last time we recorded during COVID, and so I got a lot of really good people weren't doing nothing. Brad Alvis was playing drums on a couple of tracks, but he's usually out with the Romantics, and he's with his band, The Handcuffs. But he had time on his hands, so we got him in. Corky Siegel, we sent him some tapes, and he just put his harmonica to that. And, he wasn't working that much. Barry Goldberg, who, and a lot of people don't know him, but, he's the piano on Devil with a Blue Dress by Mitch Ryder and Electric Flag. He was on stage with Bob Dylan in Newport playing keys. And, he's just fabulous. And we got him to do a couple songs, and never met him, but he was out in L.A. 90210 is where I sent the check. So, but he was just great, and a great guy. So it's we were fortunate for a lot of that, and getting a lot of people in. Harmonica Hines, of course, is in town, and he plays with at Buddy Guys quite a bit, and he did about 4 tracks for us. And so, I don't know how easy it's going to be this time, or they're going to want more money, or because I'm not making the hands over fist here, but we'll see.
You don't have the $1 million budget for the next album.
Yeah, so, but I'd like to give my friend Randy playing trumpet again, and, with the way recording is set up, he can play one track 3 or 4 different ways, and we can blend it together so it sounds like a section. And Pete does play sax a little bit. So I know we could be a big band pretty soon. So
Yeah, the Mike Felten with horns. That's I like the sound of that. The whole horn section.
So
Cool. So this is probably a good time to wrap things up. So if people want to find out more about you, Mike, where should they go?
well, MikeFelten.com. It's Felten. If you go to ON, I don't know if he's still there, but it used to be a baseball player that he was about 6'2", and he weighed about 150 pounds. He had long flowing blonde hair, but after that, you could tell us apart, But aside from that,
Where are the songs?
yeah.
Maybe he sang the national anthem, and that's your crossover.
Maybe, but
So that's Mike Felten. Felten with 2 E's, not back-to-back E's. I'm just confusing people more. MikeFelten.com.
Yeah. No
Okay.
O's. The only O's are in my bank account and stuff, and not in the back part. We're on Reverb Nation,
Okay.
SoundCloud. We're on Pandora, Spotify,
Yeah,
all the suspects.
right.
I don't know if Amazon anymore. I don't know what they're doing.
No, you're on Amazon. That's my streaming service. So, yeah.
So, yeah, I know. I have that Alexa box, and she always puts a different guy up.
She always puts the baseball player on.
Yeah, just about some guy that has a similar name, and it's like, wait a minute,
It's like Rodney Dangerfield. No respect.
no respect at all.
All right. Well, Mike, thank you for coming on Pursuing the Muse, and we will catch up again down the road.
That sounds good.
Thank you.